Afternoon, everybody. It's Alex here again for Friday's second afternoon session. Hope you're all doing well on this fine Friday. Post up in the chat there. Let us know who's watching. Where are you in the country? I'm coming from a very sunny Poole in Dorset. I'm joined by Nico Charritton, who's the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Microsoft 365. Nico, good afternoon, and whereabouts are you from this afternoon?
I am in sunny London.
You're in sunny London. Very good. Sunny everywhere. So just to give you a brief intro for this, we are talking secure remote working. And Nico is Senior Product Manager at Microsoft, where over the last 9 years, he's been supporting customers of all sizes, all industries, adopting modern technologies to basically try and improve the way they run and grow their business. So I know we're going to have lots of business owners and entrepreneurs watching this today. And personally, I know a lot of friends who are business owners who've been using these products for a number of years, and more so over the last 6 or 7 weeks as we all get to grips with secure remote working. So in Nico's role, which you may want to expand on, he leads the Microsoft product strategy in the SMB segment for the UK for Microsoft 365. He's a subject matter expert when it comes to adopting modern workplace practices like improving personal productivity with AI, implementing remote working, and best practices for collaboration, automating processes without knowing how to write code, and understanding cybersecurity potential risks. So he's got a presentation ready for us here. It's also got a link there for, was it your LinkedIn profile you put there, or was it a different one?
It is part of LinkedIn, yes. So ak.net/SMB remote working, and you'll find this presentation and other links.
Awesome. And also, just to let you all know today, I will be able to follow up and email everybody who's registered for this. And I know majority of people come in and watch the replay. Quite nice for a Friday one, because you get a lot of people watching over the weekend as well. So as I say, hope you're all safe and well. Hope you're managing to do the best you can with regards to working remotely, working on your businesses, managing your staff, etc. I'm really excited to welcome Nico and hear more about what he can share with us. So thank you, everybody who's posting up. Do post up here, and I'm happy for everyone to connect. So if you want to post up your LinkedIn profile on here or the URL to your business, I think it's great. I had loads of people connecting on these webinars. We're now up to 90 something in the last 6 or 7 weeks. So do post up, or post up mine as well. Always happy to connect with everybody online off the back of these as well. I think that's often where the magic happens. So without further ado, we've focused the screen on Nico's presentation. So secure remote working. Nico, take it away.
Thanks, Alex. And thanks for having me. I think it's great to have the opportunity to be here with you guys and this audience. I am the product manager for Microsoft 365 here in the UK. And as Alex said, I cover a bunch of things across all the suite of Microsoft 365 that includes Windows, Office 365 products that you might know, and also the EMS or security components of the Microsoft 365 suite. First of all, let me start by acknowledging the impact of COVID-19, and I appreciate that this is tough times for everyone, for business owners, for entrepreneurs, for absolutely everyone. And if you are part of an organization that provides essential services, thank you. I appreciate the risk that you're taking so we can have our basic needs covered. So I wanted to start with that, because I feel like this is a topic that is super relevant. And when we were talking with the team, Alex and the team of Festival of Enterprise, of what we can do to help you in this community, we thought let's start thinking about how we see, as the government is implementing this lockdown or staying at home policies, businesses going into remote working environments and doing it with the tools that they have or they find. And then at Microsoft, we recognize that technology is playing a critical part. And what we wanted to do is support you to have that quickly shift to remote working, but also do it in a way that is also setting the foundations for whatever is next to come for your business. So you can start thinking about, how do you reinvent yourself? How do you run your business in a more efficient way? And in a hybrid environment, because this is something that might stick For some people within the organization, you might adapt, you might take some good nuggets from this experience and bring it to your business. So what we thought we would do is start talking about the secure remote working. And while some of you might have heard some of this content before or might know about these solutions, what I wanted to do today is focus on how to start with Microsoft Teams. What are the things you can get out of that platform? And what I'm planning to do is to take you through first the capabilities of the platform. So I'm going to talk about what are the things that you can expect from it. But second, I thought it would be good to bring you some of the experiences in action. So I'm going to try to focus on 3 different scenarios where I can show you a bit more of how you would use the tool for those things. And this is the first part of a series. So we're going to have this one focusing on the collaboration, productivity, meetings, and all that stuff. And then the next one, we're going to be focusing more on the trends around cybersecurity. I'm going to be sharing some of the things that we see. What are the best practices to keep your business more secure or mitigate some of those risks that are out there? And what are the things you need to watch out for? So without further ado, I'm going to jump into what Microsoft Teams is, because some of you might have heard about the platform, you might have seen it, you might have gotten invited to a meeting with Teams, but I just want to make sure that everyone is across what you can get from it. And the way we usually talk about Microsoft Teams is in 3 big pillars. You have meetings and calling. That is what everyone is doing today with any platform that you could find close to you to keep the connection with your employees and your colleagues. You have also the chat and the collaboration piece, where you have that integration that you might also be doing with consumer applications like WhatsApp or something like that, or keeping the collaboration files that you had before if you had anything in the cloud. And also I want to talk about Teams as a platform. And this is where you're going to start to see what I mean when I talk about getting ready for what's next and improving your company processes and so on. I'm going to deep dive into these 3 buckets. Then I'm going to show you those experiences that I talked about. And finally, we're going to open up for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them on the side chat. And then when we finish with Alex, we'll go back and review that. If there's anything that I cannot cover because I might not know, I probably know the person who knows. So I'm going to try to make it possible to get the information to you in that follow-up email that Alex will send afterwards. So let's talk about meetings. Meetings is kind of the basic thing that everyone is looking into. And the experience within Teams is quite rich. It's quite rich in the terms of that you can invite people from inside your organization, but also from outside your organization. So you can bring the guests as well and collaborate. You can join by a PC, by a mobile phone, or by a browser, whatever device you have. And if you don't have internet for any reason, you can also, in some cases, dial in if you have audio conferencing enabled in Teams. Meetings can be scheduled from Teams. Within the platform, you have an integration with your calendar in Outlook. So if that's what you're working on, or you can do it from Outlook as well, because it's all synchronized. So it's regardless of where you prefer to see your calendar, you can connect there. And joining is super, super easy because it's just one click where it says join the meeting and off you go. And you get prompts with an option to customize whether you join with your camera on or off, with your microphone on or off, or even change your background or blur it to avoid distractions and so on. And soon we're going to be introducing noise suppression. So if you are working in your living room and you have your dishwasher at the back, the noise suppression will take care of that. So your voice is clear and you don't have any distractions there. So this is some of the AI, machine learning, and all the automation and intelligence that we have from our platforms put into Microsoft Teams. When you are in the meeting, collaborating documents is super easy because we have native integration with the rest of the suite in Microsoft 365. That means that you can have Word, Excel, and PowerPoint embedded in there, and you can co-author in real time. So multiple people in the same file, no need for version control and so on, because everything is in the cloud, and you can get all the versions that you need if anything is wrong and you need to go back in time. But there is a single version of the file, which is fantastic and easy to share. If you want to have the experience of what you would do in terms of workshopping something with your colleagues, where you usually will say, hey, can you help me with some ideation? You go into a room, you get a whiteboard, and you start drawing things there and brainstorming. In this case, we have the Windows Whiteboard application. If you have Windows 10, you'll have it in your machine. It's also embedded into Teams, so you can start having that whiteboard experience natively in Teams as part of the meeting. And also, one of the good things is that we're starting to add templates to that. So if you're doing a SWOT analysis or project planning or a Kanban, whatever you're doing, we have some templates there to help you with sticky notes and stuff get started in a much faster way. And then another beautiful thing about Microsoft Teams is the meeting lifecycle, because all your notes, your whiteboard, your documents, and everything remains as part of that meeting. And if you are recording the meeting, you can play it back at any time, and even you can, let's say, for example, you're working today remotely, or your employees working remotely today from home, but at the same time, they cannot attend a meeting that is important because they are also homeschooling the kids. Then we need to understand that in this COVID-19 situation, you need to be a bit more flexible on how you approach the presence of your employees at a certain time within the business. Then the good thing is, if you record this, you have access to that at any time, so they can catch up, come back, and watch everything as well. And if you have a large audience, you can assign roles on people to be presenter or to be guests, and the type of participation that they do. You can share your screen, you can share documents, and participants can turn live captions. So one click, and the intelligence of our platforms will start captioning everything that I say, and even change the language that you read in case English is not your first language, for example. That's from a meetings perspective. Now, when it comes to meetings, there's also a component of calling for the interaction with people. And this is so critical that I wanted to spend some time on it today, because through COVID-19, we've seen a lot of people having a lot of interest in this, and you'll understand why. Microsoft Teams gives you the ability to turn Teams into a business phone. So you can get assigned a phone number, as if you would have a landline, to make calls and receive calls and so on. Or you can port your own number into Microsoft Teams as well as a digital phone. And with that, you get a dial pad in Teams, as you can see on the slide on the right. And that dial pad would help you, dial whatever number. But usually the way you would communicate with people is by searching for their name and just clicking on calling, and you call a person. You don't call necessarily a number. You don't need to remember numbers and so on. And the beautiful thing about this is, because of that integration that I talked about with Outlook, you will see that all your contact list that you have in Outlook is also synchronized with Microsoft Teams. So that's also the beauty of the engagement that you usually have with people within your organization or outside your organization. And you have access to your history of calls, your voicemail, and that voicemail also gets transcribed into text. So assume that you are in a video conference, or you're in this webcast, very into the webcast, loving what I'm saying. You don't want to stop, but you receive a phone call that might be important. The good thing is that if someone leaves a message to your voicemail, you will get the transcription. You can read it, and if it is very important, you can just jump out of what you're doing and make that a priority. But the two features that I love the most about Microsoft Teams calling is the auto attendant. That's one of them. The auto attendant is a functionality where you can start setting a welcome message and redirection of the calls. So you can record your own voice or type it, and a customized voice with the accent of your choosing will read it aloud. And you can say, press 1 for sales, press 2 for customer support, press 3 for whatever. And then you can start creating call queues for individual people and assign those calls to individuals or groups of individuals within your organization. So that's something that I really love. And the second one is the call screening, which is essentially what a receptionist would do today, where they receive a phone call, they pick it up, and then you say that you want to talk to Alex, for example. While I'm talking to you and asking what's about, I can ping Alex and say, hey, Alex, there's this person who wants to talk to you about this. But I can see if Alex is busy, if he is available, or if he's on the phone or in a meeting. So I can see the presence, I can consult. And once he says, yeah, you know what, I'll take it, I can transfer. And if you think about it, nowadays that you have a lot of businesses shut down and you're working remotely, there's nobody at reception to pick up the phone. And for many businesses, the ability to engage with customers and suppliers relies on that person on the front desk. And this is why having your soft phone within Microsoft Teams makes sure that you bring with you the phone that is business phone across anywhere you are. And that could be on your PC, on your mobile phone, or even if you go back to the office and you want to keep this, you have some hardware providers that design devices for Teams. So you can have a desk phone that has a screen where you can see your upcoming meetings, you can see my face if I'm calling you through Teams, you can call me, you have buttons and so on. So if you're not a soft phone or headset person, you can also have a different type of hardware. And there are many manufacturers. So that's something that I wanted to call out because a lot of interest on business voice, as we call it. If I move on to the collaboration piece, this is where you start to see the impact on how can a tool like this help you organize the way you work in a different way. Because you not only have the chat one-to-one or one-to-many, one-to-many, where you can also add your GIFs and memes and react with hearts and laughs and so on, which is something that you would expect from the application. You also have, as the name suggests, the ability to create teams. And teams would be groups of people that are working on a particular project or a particular function within an organization, let's say marketing. So you bring them all together, and within those teams, you can create channels. So if I go back to the marketing example, you get the marketing team all together, and you might have a channel for a brand collateral, another one for social media campaigns, another one for events. And within those channels, you have the conversation, that chat, that is live and in context of the outcome that you want to drive for that particular part of the business or project. And in there, you can start sharing your files and co-author in real time, as I said before. Sorry, I was checking the questions. You can co-author in real time. And you can even invite guests external. So if you're working on the marketing side and you have an event and you want an agency to support you, you can invite someone from that agency as a guest. And you can even set up what are the capabilities of the guest, if they can create new channels or not, if you can restrict some of the things that they do. And let's say that you are working, for example, in a Teams with a customer. You have a sales team and you have the customer account, and so you collaborate and you work together in a team site. You might want to have a private conversation with your internal teams without the customer knowing, but you want to keep it as part of that context, that project, that customer environment. You can also set up private channels, and you choose who you invite. So that's something that also adds to it. And when I talk about Teams as a platform, it is really interesting how Teams allows you to pin certain things that are very important to you to do your business every day. And that could be from a file that is a price list that you always check. So you want to have it handy within that channel. As you can see on the right, there is a Power BI dashboard that is live connected to the data in the backend, and I can see live how my sales are tracking or my social media engagements are tracking. You can bring all of those things into tabs that are there for you to access without the need to go to a browser or to go to a different application. You also have the ability to automate processes with a Microsoft Power Automate, which used to be called Flow, if you're familiar with this, where you don't need to know how to code at all. You just need to know the logic of what you want to achieve. So certain actions trigger certain other actions. As an example, if you, I've seen one that was really, really interesting. But one that is typical among small businesses is automation of expense reports approval. So I can say, as soon as you upload your expense, your tickets or your receipts into this folder, there is a process that will trigger an approval for the manager to review, click on approve or reject, and that's it. You get it approved or rejected, and you can keep track of everything that happened. That's a typical one. Or the other thing that you can do is a more sophisticated thing is build a Power App. And Power Apps is, again, no code or low code applications that you can start building from things that are more natural to you. And and you can start doing things that are quite crazy, to be honest. I've seen one that caught my attention was in a supermarket where a first-line worker, someone that was replenishing stuff, they have an application on their phone where they take a picture of the shelf, and automatically the AI will recognize how many items of a particular product are missing from the shelf, trigger an order to the warehouse for replenishment, so they pack and they get it ready for replenishment, and at the same time pre-populates all the purchase order if the inventory is low at that particular moment. So those processes are crazy, and you can use the intelligence of the cloud that we have to make sure that we automate those things. So with that, I'm going to move on now to the example. So I've talked enough about that, but I want to show you this product in action. So I'm going to touch on three different types of things. One is around company culture and how teams can help you do the things that you potentially do today within a physical environment in your office. Then projects, something that is very typical on running projects. Customers love teams for running projects. And a particular process. So I'm going to go into an internal team and how we do, in this case, a sales cycle. So let's jump into it. The first one is around culture. And I'm going to start with this case. It's going. There we go. What I'm going to do is start by, in this conversation, I'm going to start inviting people to have a discussion in a chat group that I can customize the title so everyone knows what we're talking about. And here I start typing, and you'll see that people start responding. And one of the beautiful things about this is that they can respond bringing their own personality. So you can keep the tone of that chat as you would do in your office. So you can have GIFs, memes, or the customization of memes is pretty good actually. And then also you can have pictures, whatever you want. You can even invite people after the fact and choose whether you share or not the history. So if you had a conversation that was private, or you were talking about someone's present and you wanna share from now on, great, you can do so. But if you haven't been invited to a Teams and you're collaborating in a project, for example, the good thing is that you can go back in time because the chat is persistent, the history will be there. So you can quickly catch up, check all the files that have been posted and they're being worked on. You can see the comments to see the progress of the conversation. You can react to those. And you might have seen the last one that it did there. It was translation in line of something that was written in a different language. And that, for some of you, might not be relevant, but some other people might find it super interesting if you have conversations with suppliers in different countries. Like you might have someone in your distribution chain that is from China and is sending you stuff, or if you have employees that where English is not their first language, or you have operations across different countries. This is something that could be very beneficial. And coming from a different country, I can tell you at the beginning when my English was not quite polished, and you might say that it's not polished yet. But when I started, I wanted to make sure that I got what my boss said right. You know, I didn't want to miss a single word. So I was often translating things just to make sure that I got exactly the point. So this is something that is very useful for those type of situations. And then within the team, you want to keep the team engaged. And I know that most of you are leaders within your organization. So if you want to keep that engagement with the team and not make this remote working fade that company culture that you've worked so hard to create, one of the things you can do is start putting things with a bit of more of a pop-up. So you want to create an eye-catching message there. You can highlight it in a different way as an announcement. You can customize the background. And as you can see in this example, this person is posting the welcome to someone new in the team. So something that you want to celebrate, you can do that, create a subtitle and start typing your message. And if you want to call the attention of some person in particularly or a group of individuals, you can add mention them. Similar to what you would use for social media, you add mention the person. The same thing happens here, and the person gets notification on their inbox or in Microsoft Teams. And one of the other things that the managers of our customers have been asking for a long time, and it's great that we have, is the ability to praise people and post these type of badges and stuff. and having the gifs and the memes and all of the things is pretty useful for managers to create that culture, keep that cheekiness and that tone of conversation within the group. I'm going to move on to the next one, where is the town hall. And this is something that usually happens as well with leaders in the organizations. They want to address the entire company, and they do it through a broadcast, for example. This is something that you can also do. And as I said before, you have the ability to leverage the capabilities of our cloud, so you can see how easily you could turn on live captions and even change the language for those live captions to turn into subtitles in a different language. That's something that really is really interesting for those who want to have that. And imagine the situations where in the past you would go in the middle of the office and shout out something, or everyone gathers in the kitchen. In this case that you're working remotely, having these type of situations where you bring everyone, hey, listen, I want to say something important, might be, I don't know, how the company is reacting to COVID-19, or how we're getting back to the office with some new policies and restrictions and conditions for the workplace. So you might want to announce things, and this is a really good way to do it. And the last bit in this component is the meeting. And the meeting when you are remote is critical. So I wanted to show you a bit of the experience. And one of the things that I want to stop here and show you is that before joining the meeting, when you click on the link to join, it prompts the ability for you to customize how you join the meeting. Do you want to join with your video on or off? Do you want to customize your background or blur it with the middle toggle? Or do you want to have your microphone on or off? And by default, this was on. However, as the meeting already started, you might have seen that this automatically went off, and it's popping up saying, hey, there are 7 people already in this meeting, so you're going to join muted. You can also change it and join with your loud voice and interrupt everyone if you wish. But the good thing is that the intelligence of the platform is making sure that you don't have all those experiences we used to have in the past where somebody is interrupting every 2 minutes because they join late, right? Oh, sorry, people, I'm late. It's kind of the person walking on the door and making noise with the chair when they come late. It's not ideal, right? You want everyone to be sitting down at the very beginning, or at least be quiet when they come in. So that's kind of a bit of an overview of things that you have within the platform to make it a bit more inclusive and to make it interactive with your team, and keep that company culture that you have in a face-to-face environment when you are from home. The next one that I want to, the second bit that I wanted to show is when you have the meeting and you join the meeting, you can see that some people have the background blur, or they are customized in the background, the top right guy, and you can see that all the transcriptions are happening there as I was talking. And if you record these meetings, this is something, again, that is really interesting when you cannot rely on everyone being live at the same time because of the priorities that might have at home, taking care of the kids and so on. So recording is critical. And a good thing is that live caption turns into a transcription of everything that happened in the meeting. And you can search for specific keywords, or even if it was your name, because there is an action for you, you can just search within the video and it will take you exactly to the point where your name was mentioned, or whatever topic was discussed, and you can catch up with that. So if you're attending long day planning sessions and stuff like that, and you cannot make it for any reason, and you need to go back, or somebody says, hey, check this out because somebody mentioned you, or you might be interested in X, Y, and Z, you can just go back, and instead of watching 4 hours of the video, you search and you jump straight to the point that makes sense for you. So that's also helping you with your productivity. And I'm going to jump now into the project side, and this is something that is usually very different by industry, different by situation, by customer, by team, by everything, by company. But there are some components of projects that are usually across every single project. So I wanted to bring those and share some of them, and you can see them on the screen. So to start, putting together a team is super easy. Let me advance the slide here. There we go. So teams can be the teams that you usually work on, things at the company, or you might want to create a new team. You might want to bring more people In this case, we have a product launch event that we're working on. So we might bring someone from that agency, as I said before, and you can select what that person can do. But the good thing is that now we have the team, not only with us, could be with suppliers, could be with agencies, could be with whoever we want to collaborate with. So once we have the team ready, what we're going to do is start sharing files. And we're going to go to that particular channel, and there is a tab called Files where you will be able to host all the things that are relevant for that particular project. And in the back is a SharePoint side, but if you have a third-party application where you are hosting all your files, you can also bring that one to play, and you can have different visualizations. The beautiful thing about these is that you have all the files that are relevant to that particular project are located in that folder within that project channel. This means that you don't need to think about where did I save that file that was for that customer at that time when we set this. It's already there, and you know that everything keeps in the context. You have only one version of the file, so no need to be saving and having a million versions. Version final v2, final v2 approved. You have all of those that you send back and forth by email. It's very clunky, the process. So here you have everything in one place, everyone co-authoring on the same version of the file. And if anything happens, you can always restore the previous version, which is also something really, really powerful in here. And you don't need the users to know what it is in the backend. If I tell you that this is a SharePoint site that you're looking at, you might say, I don't even know what a SharePoint site is, but you recognize that it's very easy to know that your files are in the folders within that channel. Is the product launch. So that's pretty good in terms of the usability of the platform. And when it comes to tasks, you can start working with third-party applications that probably you're using, maybe a Trello or Confluence, Jira, whatever you're using today. You can bring to play. We have Microsoft Project as our project management tool, or this one that I'm showing you right now is Planner. That is a very simplified way to assign tasks and track completion and deadlines of things. And you can see this as a board, as you can see now, where you assign those to people and they'll get notifications. And you can see it also as charts or as a calendar with the deadline maps. So those type of things are really useful, very simple, so you're not overly complicating the process of assigning and giving tasks. But the good thing about these is that we have a common task framework in the back end, because Teams is part of Microsoft 365. So if you're using in your mobile phone the To-Do app, for example, you will get your task transitioning also mirrored into the To-Do app. If that's the way you track your daily tasks, fantastic. What about you track the tasks in Outlook or in Teams? Also, you get that integrated because it's the same framework. So your tasks go with you, and regardless of your style of work, you'll be able to keep up to date and not miss a bit of the project. Now, if you want to schedule a meeting, super easy to do it. As I said before, you can do that from Outlook or from Teams instinctively, and you can check how you look, check your background, change it, and so on before joining. No problems there. Excuse me. Once you are joining, you have the conversation with your team, and you can continue working with them as you are in the conversation, in the files and everything. But the beauty of this, again, is that that meeting that you potentially are recording is in context of that project in that channel. So if I'm someone new to the project and I need to catch up, I can do so. I can see what happened. If you have people today, again, that are working and they are taking care of the kids, so they might not be able to work on the same hours that you're usually used to work together on, they can also come back and catch up. And they know where things are at. Like they know where to find a meeting. They know how to get to the point. They can even play it on high speed, so they catch up faster than what you would expect. So that's something really, really powerful as well. And the collaboration of the documents, once again, everything is there within the project. And you can see here that you have two people working on the same file at the same time. This is natively in Teams. You can also do this same collaboration if you're working from a browser and editing from the web version of Word or Excel or PowerPoint, or if you have someone within the team that is working on let's say on the desktop version of PowerPoint. It doesn't matter, because as the document is saved in cloud, everyone is working at the same time on the same document. So the richness of that co-authoring goes beyond just the internet experience. It's also the full rich experience that you might have on your Excel file on your desktop. That is something also really, really powerful. And last one, if you want to keep the notes up to date, you can embed a wiki, or you can embed a OneNote. If you're a fan of OneNote like me, I always work with OneNote. I have everything there. So you can embed that and keep everything in track as you would do normally, but everything, yet again, in context of that particular project. And with that, I'm going to move on to the next one. And the next one is around a process. So what I wanted to share is an experience where you have, we're going to have a seller that is going to go pitch a customer for a product, then create a quote, then submit an approval for that proposal, and then have a chat with the customer, and then close the deal. So we're going to go through that cycle. And what you're going to see is that we have now a team with the sales organization within the company. And for each of the customers, we're setting up a particular channel. So in this conversation, we're gonna have this conversation and this flow, particularly for let me add that to the slide. There you go. For a customer that is called what's the name of the customer? Adventure Works, I believe. So what we're going to do first is have a chat with this person that might be a colleague of mine, and I want to ask her opinion on the pitch deck. So what you would do is upload the file, or even better, if you have it in OneDrive, you just share a link, and it looks like you just uploaded a full file, but you just share a link, and the person is coming, jump in and start collaborating with us. Just going to check whether my pitch is on point or not, any adjustments, and when I feel like I have the good to go, I'm happy, I close it. By the way, a lot of people ask me usually, what is that presentation? That's a real presentation, and that animation is the 3D object of that drone with the transition called more. And I usually get the same question, that's why I say it. Once you get this presentation done, you're ready to go and pitch. You go and pitch to the customer. And usually what you would do, well, some people would do is take a notepad, and while they're discussing with the customer how many products you want and how many items and which type of model, you want this one or that one, the premium, the basic, and blah. Some people go with a notepad and they take notes. In this case, what we've done is set up a form to submit a survey kind of thing to create that estimation. And in fact, it's not a form, it is actually a Power App. It's a Power App that is bringing information from different sources, but you can see what I mean here in a sec. When you start talking to the customer, the form is embedded into the AdventureWorks channel. And I'm starting to fill that one with all the different types of requests that the customer has. And this is something internal process for our company. So I can leave notes for my manager or for whoever it is looking at this, maybe potentially talking about needing a discount to close the deal. So once I'm done with this, you might integrate this Power App with your CRM, or you might jump into your CRM and populate the opportunity if you wish. And that CRM you can embed also within this channel. And you can do so by adding a Salesforce dashboard, for example, or in our case, of course, the Microsoft Dynamics 365, as you can see here. You can also pin to the top some documents. This is a SharePoint list. You can pin an Excel file with all the pricing and part numbers. You can pin a Power BI dashboard that is always live and connected to the data in the back end and interactive, and all of those things within the customer conversation. And in this case, also in the conversation around this particular customer, I'm asking the manager to approve a potential discount. So we have that conversation. The discount is kind of on the go. Now, for compliance purposes, what we do is have a proposal documented in a Word document and needs to get a final approval from the boss. And for that, what I'm going to go and do is take the file that I created in Word, I'm going to go to my files and submit that document into this folder. And when I submit the document, it triggers a flow that we pre-populated. And that flow is going to share, this is the manager's computer. You're going to see that the manager gets an automatic notification to approve or reject. You can review, there is a link for the document that you can check, and you can set comments, approve or reject it because of X, Y, and Z reason. And then the user gets also notifications saying that the document has been actioned. So if I go back to my files folder, everything within my customer channel, I can see that my document now is approved. I'm ready to go. So again, Microsoft Flow or Power Automate, as it is rebranded now, helps you automate those type of processes that usually you would do by going outside of this application, sending an email, drafting an email, spending time on that, sending that email out. The manager might have an inbox that has 1 million unread document or emails, so it will get to you in 3 weeks, pretty much. And then get back. So streamlining all those actions within your organization can be really powerful. And those notifications that I just showed you, they can be not only on your PC, but also on your mobile phone. So you have an iPhone or an Android device, you get the notification, you can quickly approve or reject, you can review and everything, because Teams is within any device of your choosing or any browser of your choosing. So that's pretty cool. And what we're going to do now is that we have everything approved with the document. I'm going to jump into a call with my colleagues, with my boss, and we are going to invite the customer. And the customer requested to call him on his phone because he's walking the dog and he doesn't have Teams yet. So what we're going to do is call him, because we have this calling with Microsoft Business Voice enabled in the back. We're going to tell them, hey, this is the proposal that we discussed. All good. It's been approved with a discount. Beautiful. We get the final approval from the customer. And then what I'm going to do is go back to my Teams channel and share with everyone in the team that we've just closed the deal. We can celebrate, and good news for everyone. We're back in business. So this is a couple of examples of how you can see Teams going across different types of projects, different types of situations around company culture, and different types of sales cycles or any other process that you might have that you want to automate. And all the things that I showed you from an automation perspective in here, this is what I was meaning when I said that we not only want to help you transition in this situation to a remote working environment, but also help you consider what's next. What is the next phase for you? Once this is over, hopefully soon, we're going to start going back to work. We're going to keep a hybrid environment of some people on premise, some people online. And eventually, when everything goes back to how things were one day, do you want to go back to how things were? Or can you take any learnings? Can you take anything to improve the way you work? So giving you this fabric to build those capabilities, that's what we want to do, and making sure that you have at your fingertips. So we talked about these 3 scenarios. Finally, I wanted to close with a couple of things to help you get started. As Microsoft, we are committed to help you with this transition. So I wanted to point you to 2 particular things that might be helpful for you right now. The first one is Microsoft Teams is free. So if you want to get started today for free, you can do so by going to microsoft.com/teams. That's the way to go. And the other thing is an offer that we put together for this particular situation. That is Microsoft 365 Business Basic. That goes beyond Teams. It has also Exchange, which is your professional email, as you would have seen. You have SharePoint for files, storage, and collaboration with your company. OneDrive, 1 terabyte for you, so you can keep your personal files, business-related files, safely and secure, and you can share easily. But also you have access to the web versions of Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. So this is also something that is really critical if you want to have that full, rich experience of collaboration, similar to most of the things that I shared today with you. So those capabilities you will have with Microsoft 365 Business Basic. If you need more, we have other SKUs that you can go after. But for now, what we have is a 6 months free offer of this. So if you want to get that up and running, you can contact your preferred Microsoft partner if you have one. If you don't, you can try to find a service provider for Microsoft if you search that in the browser. you're going to get a site where you can see who is in your area particularly, or looking at the things that you need specifically. Or otherwise, you can just get started on your own by going to microsoft365.com/business, and you will find the comparison of all the different products we have and the offers available. So with that, I'm going to stop talking because I've been talking too much. Open to Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nico. That's super interesting. As you said, I think the best word to describe it, he said, is just like a framework where people can use, as and when they need, and cherry pick which bits and pieces that suit them best. And interested to know, from a personal point of view, who do you see as like the best fit for this, like the ideal customer who'll be able to use this, or is that pretty broad now that you've kind of got it out there and everybody's using it already?
Yeah, I would say, look, it's pretty broad. It's pretty broad. This is one of those tools that is horizontal. Like, we usually tend to think about some of our Microsoft solutions in an industry based, and while Microsoft team has some particular features that are more useful for some industry than others, these things are usually asked for customers to be across the board. So, for example, we have a lot of teams specific stuff for education. So if you are within the education environment, I urge you to go and check out all the things that we have. Super rich. But for example, things that we design and develop for the healthcare system, where we had in mind things like, for example, the role of the nurse in a shift, taking care of this ICU area. You don't want to ping the person. You don't want to contact the person necessarily. You want to contact the role that is on the shift at that time. So we created that, and you have, for example, priority or urgent messages where you get every 2 minutes notifications on your phone vibrating, that it was for surgeons or for urgencies in the hospital. Or delegation of messages for those surgeons that are going to the operating theater and they cannot just pick up or have the phone vibrating. So you can delegate the messages for this next couple of hours to another person. So those things that we develop for one industry, it's interesting that we see customers saying, hey, I also want it.
I bet. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. We learned that most of our customers want to have the ability to turn on and off these features, so we give them that as well. But it's exactly horizontal.
Yeah. No, I like it. Loads and loads of questions that are coming. So we've got like a private question button here that bizarrely the speaker doesn't get to see. It's the only thing I don't like about this platform, which is an odd thing to have. But Ben's just I'm asking this one first, actually, if you can. He's just joined late, he says, but does the app work on both Android and iPhone?
Yes, the app works both for Android, iPhone. You have also the browser. So if you have access to any browser anywhere, you will have access to Teams.
Okay, cool. And then I'm going to go right through the questions. So Kasim asks, will Teams be introducing a green screen style background on their video call feature?
I don't have any announcements on that. What we do have already, and it's rolling out, is the custom backgrounds. So you can, today you have or you had for a while, the blurred background. Custom backgrounds, depending on where you're at right now, you might get it early or not. We're rolling it out. It's going to take a couple of weeks to roll it out. Similar to, before you asked me the question, usually I get it. How many people can you have on the screen at the same time? You can see that you have the 4 people in the example that I shared. We're running out this week, or from last week, actually, the 9 people, so a 3x3 grid. And we're always listening to feedback from customers. Some customers say that more than that is too convoluted, so they don't want it, and they want to focus on the content, not on the small little videos, and it might be distracting. Some other customers say, I want to have as many as possible. So we're always considering feedback and working on it.
Yeah, makes sense. So Raquel asks, when you have a meeting, do you have to press somewhere to register your meeting and get the meeting transcription?
You do have the ability to turn on through a button. So when you join the meeting, you're going to have the controls of the video, the microphone, the sharing blade. So you can share your screen, your application, whatever you want. And next to that, there is going to be an option to turn on live captions. So that's how you do it.
Okay, great. I'm not sure which form Paul was referring to, but he says, really interested in this type of form. Could you share more details of how to set that up?
Yes, I would.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I would send you to look at what we call the Power Platform. Power Platform has a bunch of products from Power BI, Power Automate, that is this workflow creation without the need of knowing how to code, and also the Power App. The Power App is what I shared with you. And again, it's a no-code, low-code. It's a bit more sophisticated. It's not just a form, but if you go to forms.microsoft.com, you get forms. And if you go to, I would say search on your browser, the Power Platform or Power Apps and Power Automate, those are the two that I would say you probably need to check out. There are some videos there to get the gist of it and then get started easily.
Okay, Raquel says, maybe it's worth mentioning that in some organizations you need to get access granted by IT to invite external access and guest access.
Yes, absolutely. For us, privacy security is critical. And that is one of the core pillars of Microsoft, right? Everything is built very secure. So if you have, if you are having an environment with Microsoft Teams, the administrator will have the capability of restricting whether you access or not. And we have customers that are in very confidential environments. They don't want at all any type of information to be shared outside of the business. And we understand that. So we give the admins the option to do that. So I would say yes. And if you are working on Teams today and you don't see that, you don't have the ability to do that, maybe reach out to your IT manager or Microsoft partner if you're working with one of them to help you understand why and work on enabling that in a secure way.
Thank you. And another question, when you have different channels, can you have a general planner for the main team meetings, or do you need to have independent planners for different channels?
Ooh, good question. I don't know, actually. I would have to test it, but it's a good question. I would probably do, if it is a cross-channel plan, I would usually post my planner in the general tab. That's actually what I do. I put my planner in general tab so everyone knows that all the tasks and actions and everything is captured there. If you want to have a global one. Now, if you have each channel assigned to a particular customer or project or something, you might want to have the planner for that. The tasks are going to be all consolidated for each user at the end. So that's going to be flowing regardless of which planner it comes from. You're going to see all your tasks as a user to action. But that's a good question. I probably need to test it.
Okay, nice. And what's the difference between external access, giving access permissions to an entire domain, and guest access when you invite an external user?
Ooh, good question. I guess you are federating domains, if that's what you're referring to, which potentially is setting up policies in the back end to make the tool consider two domains as part of one organization. So you could potentially do something like that. I'm not sure if I'm getting the question right, but potentially you can do that as an admin. Or enabling guest access is someone from a different domain that comes as a guest for a particular thing, and you can also restrict whether they can create or delete channels, edit posts, or stuff like that. So you might not want your guests to have that one.
Facundo's just pinged in on the chat there to say, can anyone join Teams if I include them? I mean, even if they don't have an Outlook account?
Yes, you can.
Oh, awesome. Okay, that's cool.
Yes, you can send a link, and they can join via the browser, internet browser. Just click on join, and they're ready to go.
Okay, awesome. I've got a question that's come through on the question tab here saying, can you talk a little bit more about the low-code tools that you mentioned, probably near at the beginning of the presentation? So I think they might have come in right towards the end of that. Yeah,
so that is what I was talking about, the Power Platform. I think it's worth potentially considering having one of these series sessions having on Power Apps and Power Automate. Maybe that's something that we can do and potentially start showing some of the automation and chat bots and all that stuff, because it's kind of a complicated subject to simplify. But what I would say is search for Power Apps, search for Power Automate, or just as a holistic thing, Microsoft Power Platform, and you'll be able to access some of the basic information about that. And I can bring the product manager for Power Apps to show us a bit more to this community how to create one from scratch. A simple way to automate things using the AI capabilities with visual recognition or speech recognition, natural language, all those things that the Azure Cloud has.
I think that would be really interesting. I'm personally really interested in that as well. So I've just been looking into chatbots and automation. So that would be cool. Question: we just have teams in the office, and I have given the role of funding out how it works, so I have all the questions going. Okay, thank you. I see that's why Raquel's asked a few questions. Okay, time literally couple of minutes before we hit the hour. So any last questions? Post them up either in the question box or in the chat function there. Interested to know before we go. Well, I'll just wait for any last questions from anybody there. What kind of learnings have you personally taken? How long have you been working from home now yourself, Nico? Have you been about 6-7 weeks or? Yeah,
a bit more as well.
Yeah, and any learnings that you've taken yourself with regards to improving the way you work, that's given what you do with regards to the product development, that's got you thinking of like future product development, for example?
Yeah, look, what I would say is I think my biggest learnings is I've been working from home for a long time, but what I acknowledge is that this is not normal. This is not normal. This situation is unprecedented, and even if I have the tools, this is my product, I live and breathe these products, it is not normal. So for me, the biggest learning throughout this process is not around the products or the tools, it's about the culture. So the products are kind of the framework that you can use, the tools, but it's all about the culture. For me, personally, having an environment that I can divide my personal and my work day. So I have a desk set up in my living room, but I don't touch this desk, this monitor, this PC the rest of the day when I switch off. I need to disconnect. The other thing is understanding that my colleagues have different situations. Every single person has a different situation at home, with kids, without kids, with someone sick, or whatever it is. So you need to be mindful of that and over-communicate on when is the right time for you to get work done, when are you not going to be available, how are we communicating through this time. That's why sharing your thoughts on the chat and stuff like that is super important. Recording your meetings, super important. And I would say learning that you need to be empathetic and understanding that everyone is going through this situation in a different way and a different time, feeling great, feeling energized, or feeling a bit blue. So you need to empathize with that. Make sure that you check in with your colleagues and try to keep a bit of interaction outside of just the work environment. Check in, super important. Mental health, it is critical to pay attention to mental health in this time. That was my biggest learning.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think unless, it's one of my biggest learnings during this time as well. And I think, chatting to two guys yesterday on one of our webinars yesterday, I was saying, one of them said, look, I've really focused, on my own physical and mental health, because I've just noticed it slipping, and, eating more, drinking more, less exercise. And it's like, and I come to the conclusion, if I can't actually look after myself, I can't serve any of my clients, my customers, etc.
Absolutely.
And interesting also, I was chatting a couple of really fast growing British companies like James McMaster, who's CEO of Huel, who are like £100 million pound company now, and Alan Barrett from Grenade, which had a £72 million valuation only 3 years ago, now talking about being the next $1 billion British company. And both of those guys said over communicate in these times, first of all with your staff, then with your existing customers, and then potentially new customers. But so really interesting that you brought that up, so appreciate that.
Absolutely. I see a comment from Raquel saying that recording meetings can help to write the minutes of the meeting. Yeah, that transcription actually is pretty good for that. But there is a video on YouTube of something that we shared, I think it's about 1.5 years already ago, where we had a device hosting the meeting for us, and it takes notes, transcribes everything that you're saying, and whenever there is an action for someone, recognizes who's the action for and takes notes of that action on the side. So take a look at that in YouTube.
No way. Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah. I'll share the link.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a prototype from a while ago. So
Really?
we're working on the technology to make this seamless to work for you and improve productivity. That's what we do, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, well, I've taken up too much of your time. We've gone past the hour now, but really appreciate that. And the next session we're doing is Monday, isn't it? I think it's Tuesday, I believe. Next session. So those of you who haven't registered for that, I know we're going to be able to send out an email to everyone. But anyone you think who's found, anybody you think needs to see this, then do point them back to festivalofenterprise.co.uk, because as soon as I press end here, you're going to be able to watch the replay, where we do get most of the viewers coming on as well. And then we'll also lift this and put it over onto our YouTube channel. And we have been streaming this live into Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well. So I'm just looking at the time for the next. Yes, so there you go. That is on Tuesday the 19th at 2 p.m. So a few days' time. In the meantime, thank you so much for spending some time with our community today, Nico. Have a great weekend. I know weekends don't look that different to weekdays at the moment, but is what it is. But thank you very much again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. And on Tuesday, we have James, my colleague, taking the lead on that conversation on what cloud can do for you. But we're going to be setting up a second session of the secure remote work to talk about security. So keep an eye on that one in the Festival of Enterprise website and sign up when it pops up.
Perfect. And we'll be sending out an email every day, first thing in the morning. I think it comes out about 8:30. So do look out for any new webinars on there, guys. So thank you once again. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you again to Nico and the Microsoft team. And over and out. Cheerio.